Now those who have joined the class may give their attendance. I repeat, those who have joined the class can give their attendance in the chat box. Okay. Can anyone please respond whether my slides are visible or not?
Yes, sir, they're
Yes, sir,
visible.
it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So if you remember, in the last class we have discussed about the involute curve. There are total 3 cases in involute. All the 3 cases we have discussed how the curve is changing. One small topic was left, that is the how to draw the tangent and normal to that given involute. With that topic we will complete the first lab assignment. It will hardly take 5 minutes, so let me just discuss the tangent and normal to the involute curve. Yes, this one. Okay, so far we know how to draw an involute, whatever be the case. There are 3 cases possible for an involute. Case number one, when length of the length of the line or wire is equal to the circumference of the circle. Case number two, when length of the line is greater than circumference of the circle. And case number three, when length of the line is less than the circumference of the circle. I have also told you in the last class that you have to read the problem carefully, because in the problem nowhere these conditions will be given to you directly. Indirectly these conditions will be given to you. You have to pick the correct condition. According to that correct condition you have to draw the involute profile. And also remember one thing, that the method of drawing tangent and normal is same for all the 3 cases. I repeat, method of drawing tangent and normal is same for all the 3 cases. I have taken the first case. So far we know that how to get the involute curve. So this is your final involute curve. Now on this involute curve, at any point I need to draw tangent and normal. How I will draw? So for that, let us take a point. Can you see this pink color dotted line on the curve?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
This pink color dotted line is any point on the curve from where I need to draw tangent and normal. You can take this pink line over here also. You can take this pink line over here also. It is up to your choice if nothing has been mentioned about this particular point in the question. So
Sir,
from
I
this,
interrupt you.
sorry.
Sir, one person just texted me. He said that to tell you that he's having problem and that's why he could not get inside the class. He's trying to get inside.
I have already posted in the group that after 2:20 p.m. I will not allow any people
I
to
I
join,
told her, but she told that please ask sir if he can.
because if this will happen continuously, how I will be able to complete? See, people are joining. Okay, I will wait till 2:25 p.m. Not more than that. Okay, so I cannot teach like that. Let me wait till 2:25 p.m. But from next class onwards, please tell to the faculty who is taking the class just before my class that please sir, if you can make us leave by the time period. Before 2:10 also, if he leaves you, fine. But if he is taking time after 2:10 p.m., then it will be very difficult for us to conduct the class. Okay. So this is a point from where again person is joining. Okay, let me wait till 2:25. After that, no more joining is allowed. Okay, it is 2:25 p.m. I will not allow any student to join again. So if anybody is joining, please tell him or her that not to join. Okay. So this is a point Q, any point Q on the curve where I need to draw a tangent and normal. How I will draw? For that, what you do is that from that point Q, you draw a straight line joining the center of the circle. That means the line CQ, this you have to draw by the help of scale. This line will be a straight line. It can be an inclined straight line, but the line CQ should be a straight line. Is it clear so far?
So can you repeat it, please, sir?
Okay, assume that point Q is any point on the curve from where I need to draw my tangent and normal. Then what is the first step? The first step is you have to join this arbitrary point with the center point of the circle by the help of scale with a straight line. That means like this. CQ is a straight line. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt?
Yes.
Okay. Next is now you have to treat this CQ line as a diameter of a circle. Which circle? Some other circle. Definitely CQ is not the diameter of this smaller circle. Fine. Treat CQ as diameter of some other circle. Get the midpoint. You know how to get the midpoint. If you bisect line CQ, you will get the midpoint. If I assume that say this point say O is the midpoint of line CQ, then OQ or OC is what? OQ or OC is nothing but the radius of that circle. Yes or no? If OQ and OC is what? OQ or OC is nothing but the radius of one circle whose diameter is CQ. Is it
The
clear to all
radius
of
of
you?
the bigger circle, right, sir?
Yes, yes. That means what you have to do, you have to take your compass, you have to place your compass at point O, measure either OQ or OC, then draw a circle. It will be somewhat like this. Yes or no? It will be somewhat like this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Fine. But you need not to draw the full circle.
Yes,
I
sir.
repeat, you need not to draw the full circle. What you need to do, you have to draw a semicircle like this. Is it clear? You have to draw a semicircle. That semicircle may pass, that means this semicircle you can draw like this also. That means like either you can draw a semicircle like this or you can draw a semicircle like this, but only you have to draw a semicircle, not the full circle. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far? Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Why not the full circle? Because if you draw a full circle, you will come to know. Just after 2 minutes, you will come to know why not the full circle. Is it clear so far? Any doubt?
No doubt,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Now, if you see this semicircle and the smaller circle from where the involute curve is originating, it is intersecting at this particular point. This is the intersection point of the semicircle and the smaller circle. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next step is what? Next step is you have to join the point Q with this intersection point by the help of a straight line with the help of by a straight line with the help of scale. So let us join. Fine. If I name this line, if I let us name this line as, let us name this line as say n, and this is nothing but q. Now this nq represent the normal to this involute. If you want to draw the tangent, what you will do? You will align your protector with NQ line at point Q and then draw a 90-degree line with respect to NQ line. If you draw it and if you if you give the naming of this line as say P double dash, P triple dash. So this P double dash, P triple dash is what? Tangent to this involute curve at point Q, and NQ is what? NQ is normal to this involute curve at point Q, and angle between the tangent and normal is 90-degree. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, one person was asking that why I am not drawing the semicircle like this. Oh, sorry, why I am not drawing the full circle? Because if you draw the full circle, fine, then the intersection point of the upper part of the semicircle and the lower part and the small circle is this particular point. Then you have to join this particular point with point Q. Then this line will be your normal. Then you have to align your protector with this particular normal line, and then you have to draw the tangent line. Fine. So at a time for a given point, there can be a one tangent as well as one normal. So that's why I am drawing the semicircle. I am not drawing the complete circle, because if you draw a complete circle at a time you will get two tangent and two normal, which is not possible. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt so far? So this is the process by which you can draw a tangent and normal to the given involute curve. Now, if you, I think you might have seen your lab assignment. Starting from question number 2 till question number 5, I think 2 is cycloid, 3 is epicycloid, 4 hypocycloid, and 5th is your involute. If it is written in the problem, well and good. But if it is not written in the problem, but keep in your mind that in all the curves, starting from question number 2 till question number 5, you have to draw tangent and normal also. Okay, without tangent and normal, any engineering curve is incomplete. You can submit, but you will lose marks. Fine. Okay, so with this, we have completed the first assignment, and what I know is that today, till
Can you please
Sir,
send the
I
PPT in the group?
I
Group
will
means in
not
the group.
send the PPT. What I can do is that I can send the recorded lectures. PPT we
Yes,
cannot
sir. You
send.
can. You can.
Recorded
Yes.
lectures I can send, but I won't send the PPT. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and what I know
Please
is
send the
that
recorded part.
every time we are sending, this is not a new thing. Every time we are sending whenever we are taking the class. Okay,
Sir,
and
I have a doubt. Sir, I have a doubt. I have a doubt.
whatever doubt you are having, please ask at the end of the class so that I can continue with the class at present. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes time. During that time, you can clear all your doubts. Okay.
Okay, 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 sir.
Next is your what I was telling. Yes, assignment. Assignment is today is the last date before 12 a.m. That means midnight 12. Before 12 midnight, you have to submit your assignment number 1. I think Abhishek sir has written the format, in which format you have to submit it. You have to make all the 5 drawing as a single PDF file, and I think you have to write your name or roll number, something like that. Try to submit in time. If you submit late, you will be evaluated out of 8, and all these marks we will carry forward at the end for your internal marks. Okay. And regarding, someone was asking me that how we will draw this curved portion, because cycloid, epicycloid, hypocycloid and involute all are curved profile. It is not a straight line. For that, you have to use French curve, except involute, because if you know, I have told you in the last class that in involute you get the locus points which are very far apart. But French curve, with the French curve, you can draw any curved line if the locus points are near apart. So for involute, you have to use your free hand only. Fine. And regarding cycloid, epicycloid and hypocycloid, the final curve you have to draw with French curve. If you see, there are total 5 French curve available. French curve number 5, number 6 and number 7. How to draw? Assume that this is point number 1, this is point number 2, this is point number 3. If you see these 3 points, it is not forming a straight line. It is forming some curved geometry. Or you can take some more points. Say this is one more point, this is one more point. It is forming some curved geometry. How I will draw? Then you have to play with the French curve. It is an hit and trial process. You will take out French curve number 5 and you will see that the locus points are aligning with the French curve or not. You have to take at a time 3 locus points. Assume that this is first locus point, this is second locus point, this is third locus point. So you will take 3 locus point at a time, and you have to see whether the surface of French curve number 5 or French curve number 6 or French curve number 7 is aligning with these 3 locus point or not. If any, definitely any one of the French curve will definitely align with this locus point. Then what you will do, for once you have aligned properly the first 3 locus point, join first and the second point by the help of French curve. Similarly, the next set of point is your third, fourth and fifth locus point. Again, you have to see that which French curve is properly aligning with third, fourth and fifth locus point. If say French curve number 6 is properly aligned with third, fourth and fifth locus point, then what you will do? You will join the third and the fourth curve by the help of that particular French curve. Likewise, you have to complete the entire profile of cycloid, epicycloid and hypocycloid. It is not necessary that only a single curve is suitable to draw or to complete one particular profile. There may be a case that, say in a epicycloid, if there are total 8 locus points, first 4 locus points you are joining it by French curve number 5, remaining 4 locus points you are joining it by French curve number say 7. The main thing which you need to keep in mind is that if the 3 consecutive 3 points, and that too you cannot take any random 3 points, you have to go in sequence. That means first, second, third you have to align, then third, fourth, fifth locus point you have to align likewise. So if first, second and third locus point is aligned with French curve number 6, join the first and the second point. Then second, third and fourth point you have to check. If it is properly aligned, join second and the third point, and so on. This is the rule how to use a French curve to get the cycloidal, epicycloidal and hypocycloidal gear teeth profile. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Okay. And one more thing you have to remember, that without dimensioning your drawing is incomplete. whichever problem you are solving, at last you have to specify the dimensions. I think that Abhishek sir has told you in the very first or the very second class how to give the dimensioning. So each and every drawing you have to give the dimensioning properly following the arrowheads. What is the arrowhead? It should be in the ratio of 3:1. If the length is 3, height should be 1. Likewise. And write the name of the drawing. Use the lettering and numbering format to write the name of the drawing once the drawing is complete. Show the calculations. You know that calculation is there in scale, in epicycloid and in cycloid. Calculation of theta is there in in EP and hypocycloid. Whereas in scale, calculation of RF and length of the scale is there. All those things you have to show it. You cannot write those things by pen. You have to write those things by pencil, that too HB pencil, and that too in block letters. No cursive writing is allowed in the drawing sheet. I am repeating again and again, no cursive handwriting is allowed, no pen is allowed. Is it clear to all of you?
That then in epicycloid for calculating theta, we have to write.
You have to use pencil.
Small r by capital R.
You have to use pencil. Small theta is equal to small r by capital R into 360 degree. You have to maintain the height. It is not like that height of theta is 3 centimeter, height of small r is 5 centimeter. No, every time whatever writing part you are doing, height and length you have to maintain in each and every drawing. That is what lettering and numbering tells you.
So in that formula small r by capital R, so that time I can write smaller.
Yes, in that case you can write small r. Otherwise you can, in nowhere else you can write in cursive handwriting. That is not allowed in drawing. Is it clear to all of you? And last but not the least, that is the use of pencils. Many times we have told you which pencil you have to draw. So please keep those things in mind. The final drawing will be reflected in your drawing, that will be drawn by HB pencil. Remaining everything, all the internal constructions, you have to do it either H pencil or 2H pencil. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far? Hello?
Sir, already the drawing I have done all the drawing and written everything in cursive handwriting. So can I submit the first?
No. You can submit, but thing is that then you may lose some marks because cursive is
But
not
sir, then I
allowed.
will have to draw again, sir, because I have already written everything, sir.
Have you submitted it?
Yes, sir, I have submitted already.
Then in that case, this fifth problem, it is incomplete problem. Tangent
So
and normal
I
have
will
not been
unsubmit
drawn.
and do that part also. But that in that case, I am doing one extra. But over there, I have to do all the four
Okay,
again.
okay, not an issue. You don't submit it because it will again it will be a very hectic task for you. But you can expect that then in this assignment you may lose some 1 or 2 marks because of that cursive handwriting. Because that is the rule that every time we have to go for block letters, capital block letters in drawing. Not an issue. Hardly 0.5 or 1 marks may be deducted. That is not an issue. Okay. So with this we have completed the first lab assignment, and today we will move on to the second lab assignment. Directly we will not start the second lab assignment. Today I will give you a brief introduction about the second lab assignment. And the second lab assignment is about orthographic projection. I repeat, the second lab assignment is about orthographic projection. Now, what is this orthographic projection? Okay. Can you see me? My video is visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see this object? Can anyone tell me whether this object, that is the mobile phone which we use, it is a 3D object or a 2D object?
3D, sir.
It's a
It
3D.
is a 3D
3D.
object. That means I know that I can call any object to be a 3D object if it has length, width, and thickness. You can see in this mobile, say this is your length, fine, this is your width, and this is your thickness. This is length, this is width, and this small portion is your thickness. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
Since
sir.
this mobile is having three different lengths along three different dimensions, I can say that this mobile is a 3D object. What is orthographic projection? When you are projecting some views of this 3D object in a 2D plane, that type of projection is known as orthographic projection. Again, I am repeating, when you are taking the projections of a 3D object to get some views in a 2D plane, that type of projection is known as orthographic projection. The term orthographic, if you separate these two terms, it is ortho plus graphic. Ortho means 90 degree. Ortho means 90 degree. That means the projected view of a 3D object you will get in a plane that is 90 degree separated from each other. For example, if you take this plane, can you see my copy, this copy? Can you see
Yes.
my copy? Fine. If you see the base portion is one plane. I can say that this base portion is parallel to x-axis. And if you see this vertical portion, vertical portion is also one plane, and I can say that this plane is parallel to y-axis. Can you tell me at present what is the angle between vertical and horizontal plane?
It's a 90
90 degree.
90 degree. So on this plane, if I draw on this plane, if I draw projected view of a 3D object, that type of projection is known as orthographic projection. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So now I am explaining it technically what is an orthographic projection. Just give me a minute. Okay. Now if you see this mobile phone, you can observe this mobile phone from different angles. If you see the mobile phone from your end, which view you will get? The front view? Yes or no? From your end, if you see this phone, which view you will get? You will get the front view. Can you predict the shape of the front view?
rectangle.
Rectangle. But again, rectangle is of two types. One is standing rectangle, another one is lying rectangle. It is which kind of rectangle?
So standing.
Standing rectangle. Line will be like this, but from the front view you can see a standing rectangle. Fine. So this is your front view. In orthographic projection we call it as front view. Similarly, the same object, if you look from the top, if I look the same object from the top, which view I will get? I will get the top view. That means this particular view, this will be my top view. Now can you tell me what is my top view? What is the shape of the top view? Predict the shape of the top view.
So it will be a very thin rectangle.
Yes, this width will be the length, this will be the height. This width will be the length and this will be the height. Fine. Again it will be a rectangle, but this time it will be a line rectangle. Fine. So this is known as your top view. Similarly, if you look this rectangle from your side, say from your left hand side, which view you will get? You will get the left hand side view. That means this particular portion you can see. Yes or no? Again, it
Yes,
is the
sir.
rectangle. If you look it very clearly, again it is a rectangle. This will be the length of the rectangle, and this will be the width of the rectangle, or you may say the thickness of the rectangle, standing rectangle. This is what? This is your left hand side view. Similarly, the same object, if you see from the right hand side, again you can see this rectangle. Size is exactly similar. This is which view? This is your right hand side view. These are all technical terms which we will be using when we will be discussing about this orthographic projection. That is front view. Top front view is denoted by symbol FV, capital F, capital V. Top view is denoted by symbol TV, capital T, dot, capital V. Left hand side view is denoted by symbol LSV, capital L, dot, capital S, dot, capital V. And right hand side view is denoted by symbol RSV, capital R, dot, capital S, dot, capital V. Now you might be telling that, sir, why you are not telling about the bottom view? We normally don't consider bottom view in orthographic projection. Normally we are interested in front view, top view, either left hand side view or right hand side view. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you see
Yes, sir.
all the time, if you are taking the front view, which view of an object you are getting? You are getting a 2D view of object. See, you can only see this length. You can only this particular length. Are you getting the third length? Front view, are you getting the third length? No, you are not getting. Again, if you see the object from the top end, you will get a 2D view. That means you are getting this particular length, you are getting this particular vertical length. Are you getting the third length? No, you are not getting. Similarly, when you observe this object either from the left hand side or from the right hand side, again you can see this particular vertical length and you can see this particular length. Again you are not getting the third view. That means the projection of a three-dimensional object in a plane which is perpendicular to each other is nothing but a two-dimensional views you are getting, which is nothing but your orthographic projection. Remember one thing, the projected view of a 3D object, when you are plotting it on a plane that is perpendicular to each other, those projected view will be a 2D view. It will not be a 3D view. Is it clear to all of you?
So if they are not perpendicular to each other.
Hello.
So I'm
Yes.
asking, so what if they are not perpendicular to each other?
If the planes are not perpendicular to each other, that you will study in the fourth and the last assignment, that is isometric projection, in which the planes are at an angle of 120 degree to each other. That you will study in the fourth assignment. At present, orthographic projection is clear to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Just wait for a second. Okay. Now, can you see this diagram? Can
Yes,
you
sir.
see the?
Yes, sir.
Can you see this
Yes, sir.
diagram? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's visible.
Okay. Fine. So if you see this vertical plane is what? This is your VP. That means if I say if this is my copy, if I talk about this particular end, that means if I talk about say this particular, if you see there are total 4 quadrants are there. This is first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, this is fourth quadrant, like coordinate geometry. See, This is what? This is your vertical plane, and this base is what? Base is your horizontal plane. If I'm keeping like this, then this is my first quadrant. If I am keeping like this is my second quadrant. If I keeping like this is my third quadrant. If I keeping like this is my fourth quadrant. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. So I am, so in technical term that we call in orthographic projection, that is this particular plane, this vertical plane, we call it as VP, denoted by symbol V dot P dot, vertical plane, and this horizontal plane, technically it is known as HP, horizontal plane, H dot P dot. If you see, the angle between VP and HP is how much? 90 degree. Then on this plane, if you project any 3D object, definitely you will get a 2D view. This method is called your orthographic projection. Now you can see that okay, let me clear these things, just wait. Okay. Fine. So what I was telling about the different coordinate. So this is my first coordinate. This is my first coordinate. Fine. This is my second coordinate, third coordinate, fourth coordinate. But in orthographic projection, we will not call as coordinate, because my object can be placed in any coordinate. My object can be placed in first coordinate. My object can be placed in second coordinate. My object can be placed in third coordinate, and so on. So I will not talk about first, second, third, fourth. How I will say? If I place my object in first coordinate, can I say like this? My object is placed above HP in front of VP. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Please repeat once more.
My object, if any object is placed in first quadrant, how I will define it? My object is placed above HP in front of VP. This is above HP in front of VP. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If my object is placed in second quadrant, how I will define? My object is placed above HP behind VP. Is it clear? Similarly, if my object is placed in third quadrant, how I will say it? My object is placed below HP behind VP. Is it clear? Similarly, if my object is placed in fourth quadrant, I will say that my object is placed below HP in front of VP. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other people, please respond whether it is clear or not.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is one way by which you can define where your object is placed. Second way of defining is, if an object is placed in first quadrant, you will say that you are solving the problem in first angle projection method. If any object is placed in second quadrant and you want to get the front view, top view and side view, you will say that you are solving the problem in second angle projection method. If any object is placed in third quadrant, you have to say that you are solving the problem in third angle projection method. Similarly, if any object is placed in fourth quadrant, you have to say that the object is placed in fourth angle projection method. Either you say like this, that above HP, in front of VP, above HP, behind VP, or you say like first angle projection, second angle projection, third angle projection, or fourth angle projection. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far? Hello?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, and if you see your assignment number 2, there are total 4 problems are there, out of which the first, third and the fourth problem you have to solve in first angle projection method. Only the second problem you have to solve in third angle projection method. Remember, in orthographic projection, if nothing has been told that where your object is placed, always you will consider that the object is placed in, or that means you will need to solve the problem by first angle projection method. Is it clear to all of you? If in the problem it has been told to you that solve the problem by third angle projection method, then only you will solve the problem by third angle projection method. If nothing has been told to you, every time you will solve the problem in first angle projection method. And remember one thing, that normally in orthographic projection we don't use second angle projection method, neither we use fourth angle projection method. Why we don't use second and fourth angle projection method? I think either by this today class end or by next class you will come to know that why we don't use second and fourth angle. That means we do not keep any object in second angle as well as in fourth angle. Either we will solve the problem by keeping the object in first angle projection method or by keeping the object in third angle projection method. Is it clear to you so far? Any doubt? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay, and if you see this line, this XY line, what is this XY line? XY line is the dividing line between horizontal plane and vertical plane. Yes or no? If you observe my copy. If you observe my copy, can anyone tell me in my copy where is my XY line? This is my copy. This base one is my horizontal plane and this vertical one is my vertical plane. Can you tell me in this copy where is my XY line? XY line is the dividing line of vertical plane and the horizontal plane. So can you tell me in this copy which one is my XY line?
Binding part, sir.
Yes, the binding part. If you see, this is your binding part. This is your binding part, because this line, say this is X, this is Y. Say this is X, sorry. Say yes, this will be very helpful to you. Fine. See, this is your X, this is your Y. Now you can clearly differentiate that yes, this bottom one is mine. Horizontal plane and this vertical one is my vertical plane. Angle between horizontal and vertical plane is 90 degree, and this is that dividing line. This is X, this is Y, or this is Y, this is X. Is it clear to all of you? Any
Yes,
doubts
sir.
so far?
Sir,
Hello?
hello, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was asking for the assignment. Can I do this? Like, can I
That I will
draw
tell you
on?
just after 5 minutes. Please give me a
Okay.
5 minutes. Let me complete this topic. Okay, is it clear to all of you so far? This XY line?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So there is a technical term in orthographic projection. We will not call this XY line to be a dividing line. In orthographic projection, this XY line is known as reference line. REFERENCE. Reference line. So always remember this XY line is your reference line. That means the dividing line that divides the horizontal plane and the vertical plane. Okay, fine. Now, if I consider, see, in orthographic projection, you need to remember 3 points. If you are clear with those 3 points, you can solve any problem, you can draw any drawing. Fine. In orthographic projection, those 3 points are: first, identification of object. What is your object and where it is located? Second is observer. Second is observer. Observer is looking to that object in which direction? From which direction observer is looking to that object? Accordingly, you have to decide that which one will be your front view, which one will be your top view. Definitely, if I am the observer, if the object is like this, and if I am looking little bit at some angle, if my vision is at some angle, then definitely that particular view will be my front view. Accordingly, my top view and left hand and right hand side view will change. So this is your second point. And the third point which you have to remember is the plane of projection. The plane of projection. That means if you are, say, this is your mobile. If you are looking to this mobile from your end, definitely this will be the front view. Now this front view you will get in which plane? Either you will get in VP or you will get in HP. So can you tell me, if this is my vertical plane and if this is my horizontal plane, and if my object is in first angle projection method, definitely from your end you will see the front view. But in which plane you will see the front view? Whether you will see it in HP or you will see it in VP?
VP.
Yes, you will see it in VP. That is the third point. These 3 points you have to keep in mind. What is the object? What is the shape and size of the object? Fine. And where it is located? That means whether that object is in first angle projection method or in third angle projection method. And third one is plane of projection. That means according to the observer, that plane of projection will differ. If you are observing this object from your end, then definitely this is your front view, which you will get in vertical plane. If the same object, if you are looking from the top end, definitely you will get one view, and that view you will get in which plane? You will get in horizontal plane, and so on. Is it clear to all of you? Any doubt so far? Hello? Any doubt? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay, so I don't think enough time is left. It is already 3:07 p.m. Many of you are having some doubt related to that first assignment. So I will stop my discussion over here. In the next class, I think hardly 20 more minutes it will take to complete the discussion of this orthographic projection, and then we will be in a position to solve the problems related to second assignment. Just wait for a second.